India with Timothy. We were there around the same time. We were there about 20 some years ago, or 20 years ago. I think in one of our conversations we were actually in India at the same time. Yeah. So, and I told you all that I went to India thinking I was going to be instrumental in enlightening the poor of India into a unity message. I was going to bring them the information that no matter what things looked like, God is in charge of the universe and that everything is okay. I was going to bring them the 5 principles of unity. Oh, I'm going to help these people so much. I have this amount of money so that I can buy clothes for the poor and food for the poor and start a couple of people up in business, because I found out that for $50 US you could set someone up in business that they could flourish for the rest of their lives along with their children and grandchildren. I thought that was amazing. But the main thing I was excited about was to go bring unity, bring some enlightenment to these people. And boy, did I find out that it was the other way around. That it was them who enlightened me. People who have very, very little or who have almost nothing are so grateful for anything. And we who have so much sometimes find it difficult to be grateful for anything that we have. So much abundance. More clothes than we can wear, more shoes than we can wear. We throw out more food than 80% of the people of the world have to eat. We are 86% wealthier than the people of the world. I went there thinking I had something to give them, and it was the poor of India who gave me what Spirit knew I needed. And one of the big things, as I told you, was a little boy, Suresh. How old was Suresh, Timothy? 11?
Yeah, like 10 or 11.
10 or 11. And he had a troop of 12 or 13 children that he took care of. He was a street person, a beggar, who took care of a troop of younger children who had to beg to eat. And he was remarkable. Whatever he got, he divided it evenly between all of the children in his troop. They were his adopted. He's 10 or 11.
Wow.
He has a dozen adopted children that he takes care of. And if he were given one banana leaf with a little bit of rice and a little bit of beans on it, he would grab a piece of newspaper and he would tear out little squares and put evenly 14 piles.
Wow.
Now a tablespoon's worth and a teaspoon of beans. And he was so joyously happy. I told you also at some point that I noticed that the people, whether they were extremely poverty-ridden and were wearing rags, or whether they had diseases, some of them dragging themselves literally on carts or on just thick carpets, dragging themselves around because they could not walk. I was amazed by the fact that it appeared to me that everyone everywhere was smiling. They were smiling, wearing their rags. They were smiling even though some of them could not walk and were on carts. They were smiling no matter what was going on. Some of them had leprosy, and parts of their bodies, parts of their faces were literally falling off. And with the part that was left, they had enough face left to smile. I can remember asking the question at some point, why is it that everyone here is always smiling? And the answer was, they are alive to smile. My thing is always saying to people, have a great day, have a good day. And their response was a look of puzzlement. Every day is a good day. Because it's a day to be alive. They don't take it for granted. Sometimes I have to look at me in the mirror and go, what are you taking for granted? One of the gifts on August 16th, when I went into cardiac arrest in the hospital and flatlined for a while, one of the gifts of having died is to return to a place with greater gratitude. I am super happy about things that didn't really tickle me that much before. I am so grateful for everything that I have, and it's because I had an experience of losing it all. The whole world, every relationship, everything gone. And I went into a place of light, which is so wonderful that you spoke of, that you gifted us with your teaching, because where I was, I got really clear that all of the relationships and all of the conflict that is appearing in this field of polarity is not real. It's a movie. It's a holographic experience. It only looks like people are at war. It's a game of trying to remember who we are. I was in a place where it was clear to me that when two arch enemies get to the light after they lay their bodies down, they are doing the heavenly equivalent of giving each other a high five. And one of them is saying, "You made a great villain." And the other one is going, "And you made a great victim." But we know there were no victims or villains. It's just the light dancing in the shadow. Having been informed by children who had virtually nothing in India that every day is a good day, is what inspired me to begin my days with "It's the best day ever." I am faithful. I will forever be faithful. As long as I can open my mouth to get words out, I intend to greet every day with that statement. It's the best day ever. I did this before I died, flatlined in the hospital a couple of months ago. I've been doing this for years. And as I told you earlier in the service, when you make a declaration, it's going to be tested. So if I'm waking up every day saying, "It's the best day ever," what's going to happen? The universe is going to say, "Let's see if Carlos is willing to keep that mantra if this occurs." If his car breaks down on the freeway, if his dog gets hit by a car, is he still willing to declare it's the best day ever? And so far so good, I've been able to keep that declaration. This is one thing I've learned. Anything can happen on the best day ever, but it doesn't change it from being the best day ever. You can have any kind of a challenge come up. A challenge with your health, a challenge with relationships, a challenge on your job, and any kind of a challenge can come on the best day ever. What makes it so good when I'm experiencing a best day ever that's filled with challenges is that I am in a position of knowing that nothing that occurs out there has the authority to determine or to govern how I feel, who I am. It's interesting, we're getting toward election time. And I remember it came through me maybe 30 years ago. I was meditating and I was in some kind of an overwhelm. I was catastrophizing. I don't remember who the presidential, who the two people were at the time, but I know I really wanted one of them. And I really didn't want the other one. And it got to a point where it looked like the one I didn't want might be our president, and the one I did want might not be. And I was in my bedroom, and I'm going through my stuff like I had been. I'm on the phone talking to everybody at the time. That was pre-internet. So everybody's on the phone talking to everybody about, "Oh my God, this election." And I can remember hearing a quiet voice go, "You only have so much authority over who the president that presides over the United States of America is. And even if your person gets in, you only have a certain limited amount of authority on how that president will preside over the country, the United States of America. But use some of your time and some of your energy, Carlos, in looking at you, because it is you who are the president of your own mind. How you are presiding over your own thoughts is what is imperative. Here you have full authority. You don't have authority over what the President of the United States might do, what policies that person might enact, but you have full authority on how you preside over the kingdom, the queendom, the moredom, the alldom of your own mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. And so I thought that that voice was reminding me to get back to what was really important. Because I've learned over 65 years that regardless of who's in office, things stay relatively the same. They have a lot to deal with. They've got Congress, they've got people trying to stop them from doing what they're trying to do. Life remains relatively the same. But when I am not presiding over my mind, when I am catastrophizing, when I am not pulling myself back into my power, I am living in hell on earth. I've said that living in hell on earth is to have great faith in a negative outcome. I'm surrounded by people right now who are in fear around the election. They're in fear, catastrophizing about what negative outcomes may happen if this or that or the other happens. And I've been inviting those people around me, maybe we should take the next hour not to talk about that. For the next hour, let's look at ourselves. Let's see how I am presiding over the kingdom of my own mind. Is my own mind a united state of mind, or is it a divided state of mind? Draw myself back into my power. It's relatively little authority that I have over what the governor of my state will do. But I am the governor of the state of my mind. I'm either looking at them and addressing them, or I'm looking at me and addressing me. Addressing them gets me nowhere. Addressing me gets me everywhere I want to go. Even inside of the kingdom, queendom, moredom, alldom of consciousness called heaven on planet Earth. India was a place I never thought I was going to come home from. I was so ill in India that they were surprised that I was living from day to day. Timothy was equally as ill, but he was ill in a different way. At least they knew what his condition was. They knew it was a combination of malaria and some other thing. With me, they were guessing. They were saying, maybe a lizard peed on you. A lizard peed on me. I'm like, oh my God. I'm in a third world country. I've never had a doctor at the United States walk in and say, can you tell me what's wrong? And maybe a lizard peed on you. I'm going, where am I? One guy comes in with these black pills that look twice the size of jelly beans. You must swallow. What is it? You don't need to know. I'm like, you need to tell me. Anyway, I was so ill Timothy and I had a period, I think I was 165 pounds when we went there, and Tim was 170 some. And here we are sitting on the side of the road. I'm about 121 pounds. He's about 130. We look like skin and bones. We have begun to believe that the United States of America was a dream we had, that it wasn't a real place, that there is no such place as the United States of America. There's no place where there aren't flies all over the food, where you can breathe fresh air, turn on a faucet and have water come down, sit down on a toilet and use it. We began to think that we made it all up. One thing I got when I got home, we're making everything up. The mind is projecting out a holographic experience that we are saying is real, and that the Hindu gods know it's just a game. You play the victim this time, and I'll play the villain. And then we will go forth from the light again. And I would like to see what it feels like now to be on your side, and you see what that felt like. And when we lay our bodies down, we will give the divine high five, and I will say to you, you make a great victim. And you'll say, and you make a great villain. And we hug each other up and go, aren't you glad you're one? Aren't you glad it was just a game? Aren't you glad that nothing shall ever be able to separate us from the love of God? This is nothing like what I planned to preach to you this morning. But Jennifer, your sharing opened my door to India. So whatever came through, I trust, because God is in charge of the universe in your life, that you heard something that mattered, that you heard something that made a difference, that you heard one kernel that you know is transformative in your life. Amen. Maybe it was just hearing, every day is good day. Maybe it was hearing that the more we have, many times, the least we appreciate what we have. Maybe it was hearing me go, I start every day with, it's the best day ever, and know that my job is not to change my mind throughout the day, regardless of what happens. Maybe it was simply for you to be able to appreciate being in this country, the United States of America. Maybe it was a reminder that whoever becomes our president is going to change your life a little bit. But you presiding over your own mind is what makes all the difference. I don't know what else was said, but I trust that whatever was said, God had it happen, that Jennifer would come up to give us our announcements, would take me to India, and would cause me to say what I just said. Yeah. This is my final thing that I say relatively often, and I have to say it again. God is in heaven. Heaven is in you. Holy is your name. God wants you to know you have nothing to fear, and there is nothing and no one to blame. You've been informed. Your captivity is over. You've been informed. In truth, you're free. And so it is. Peace and love, everybody.